Both candidates hit the campaign trail this week, perhaps giving us a preview of the points that they will hit on Tuesday evening.
He plans to give billionaires massive tax cuts and to cut corporate taxes by over $1 trillion, even as they pull in record profits. And that is on top of the $2 trillion tax cut. We know how to count. We know how to count.
For 4 straight years, I fought for American workers like I would fight for my own family. I took care of our economy like I would take care of my own company.
Just a reminder, Trump's company has filed for bankruptcy 6 times. It owes $355 million plus interest and penalty fees due to a civil fraud case. And he and his sons are actually barred from doing business in the state of New York for the next 3 years. Just some clarifying context. Joining me now for some more clarifying context is Symone Sanders Townsend, co-host of The Weekend. Symone, we know that debates can have consequences, as we've seen.
Yeah, they matter.
They do matter. Do you think this debate will move the needle in this very close election?
Yes. Debates matter. Look, all these strategists out here saying debates don't really matter, they don't really move the needle. Poppycock, they're lying to you. Debates do matter, and if you don't think debates matter, a month and a half ago, Joe Biden was the Democratic nominee. And one could argue without that debate performance, we will be talking about the Biden-Harris campaign and not the Harris-Walz campaign. So given that, I think my experience with the vice president, I was a part of her debate prep team in 2020 when she did her, the vice presidential debate between she and then Vice President Mike Pence. My experience with the vice president is she is definitely someone who is, you know, she preps like she would prep for a court case. She's a prosecutor. And so I think she has carried that process over that she established in the DA's office and in the Attorney General's office to when she was a United States Senator. She prepped for those hearings, and she brought that into definitely the campaign apparatus and in the White House when I worked for her there. So it is a process where it's, yes, this is what we believe. We know what we believe. Going through tactics and looking at how are we going to speak directly to the American people, because this is a debate very different than the last time she was on a presidential debate stage. Chief among the reason it's a one-on-one, it's she and Donald Trump, and there's no audience. And so sometimes in the debates, you say something and the audience gives you a reaction and a feedback, and the candidates feed off that. There is not that option. This is about finding those moments to look directly into the camera and speak to the people at home. And she is very good at doing that, but you're going to be standing next to a person who is not he is not well at speaking about policy in depth.
So the last time Donald Trump was on the debate stage with a woman, there was a lot of talk about, perhaps quote unquote stalking Hillary Clinton. What do you think the vibe is going to be? Like, how is he going to approach dealing with this woman on stage, his new opponent? And how is she going to respond to what can in some cases feel like intimidation from this candidate?
Well, I am quite positive that the advisors to Donald Trump have counseled him against leaving his podium.
Will he listen?
That is the question on the table. And, he hasn't listened to them thus far. They want him to talk about policy. He would rather attack the vice president on her looks or her gender, her name, right? He is not talking about policy. And when he does, it's quite jumbled. So I think that the campaign, the vice president's debate prep team has to be prepared for that moment with Donald Trump, or multiple moments when, in fact, he encroaches upon her space or, says something derogatory, mumbles under his breath. I believe that they want that conflict because it will demonstrate a very stark contrast for the American people. Donald Trump, who is acting like a bully, a child, right, attempting to intimidate the Vice President of the United States of America, and how she reacts there will make a difference. I mean, if I were advising the Vice President, which I'm not, I don't know nothing about the particulars of their debate prep. This is happening in Pittsburgh, and apparently it's going well. The streets inside tell me. If he approaches you, it is a now Donald.
Like in the club.
Like in the club. It's like a now Donald, will you please back up so I may finish answering the question?
Well, so this debate comes on the heels of some very surprising endorsements this week. So Liz Cheney, the former representative from Wyoming, has come out and said that not only is she not voting for Donald Trump, she is voting for Kamala Harris. And on the heels of that endorsement came an endorsement from Liz Cheney's father, the former vice president, Dick Cheney, who said that he too is going to be voting for Kamala Harris. Are these endorsements going to move the needle for swing voters, Republicans who are maybe waffling on the question of Donald Trump?
I think absolutely. Melissa, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, would you have
Did not have it on my bingo card.
Okay, I mean, both of the Cheneys, not only saying they're not going to vote for Donald Trump, because it is one thing to say, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump, which frankly, that is very well within the purview of many Republicans who don't like what he's selling. You know, I encourage them, if they don't like what he's selling, don't vote for him. But it's another thing to come out and proactively say, we are voting for Vice President Kamala Harris. We do not agree on policy, but we are voting for her because she is the better candidate for this country, given the two before us. It's about our democracy. I think that's really important. There are a lot of, I think, Republicans who are looking, Michael Steele always talks about the permission structure. There are Republicans who are looking for that permission structure. Republicans who, unlike Democratic voters, have never had to like hold their nose. I think Donald Trump was the first time for many Republicans where they've had to hold their nose and vote for something. Democratic voters have to do that every single election in city council races all the way up to the presidency.
So a surprising development. Donald Trump has done a lot to appeal to black male voters, but now it seems he's going after black women voters. Say more about this. What's the strategy here, and do you think this is likely to be a winning strategy for him?
Melissa, I saw there were one of the videos that Donald Trump put out, and there were multiple black women in the video. It looked as though they were reading from a script. I'm unsure. They featured one black woman in a head wrap. I like my headscarf just as much as everybody else, but as a former campaign strategist, I would never tell you to put that in a video. Look, black women voters, as you and I both know, we've been traveling across the country on our summer girls trip, talking to black women from the cities to the suburbs and everywhere in between. And black women voters are going to be critical in this election. The margins matter now. Last election, they voted, 90% for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Election before that, 92%. So they do not have a track record of of voting for the Republican candidate. But the margins matter here. So Donald Trump, I guess, is like, I need to just see what I can do. He's not offering up any policy. And black women voters, just like the other voters out here, they would like policy.
Yeah. Again, Simone and I hit the trail this summer on a summer girls trip, and you can catch the results of that on September 29th at 9 p.m. on MSNBC with our special Black Women America, The Road to 2024. You can catch it there, and it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Simone.
Thank you. Good to see you. I would only stay late at work for you.
Only for me. Thank you.